Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. This is the last live I'm going to be doing this year. That's right. This is the last live conversation I'm going to be posting on the channel. Of course, tonight's New Year's Eve, and so I'm going to shut down things right about the end of this post so that I can get my proceedings proceeding. But in the meantime, I want to have a conversation with you all about something that I think is not just important and relevant for pop culture. It's not just what we've been talking about, but it's good information for us to have to carry into next year. So as we enter 2024, I want our minds to be right. I want our politics to be right. I want our focus to be right. And so the way to do that, I think, is to redirect us toward things that make more sense. So I want to thank y'all for jumping on this live. Hit the like button if you're ready to go into 2024, looking at the world a little bit differently, reshifting back to the way we should have. Or if you've never been there before, shifting in a place that we should be. So what does all that mean for the conversation that I posted today? I said we've been having the wrong conversation about Diddy, TD, Jakes, and others. And I'll tell you what I mean. For more than a month now, the world has been focused so much on Diddy. If you are a YouTuber and you go on YouTube, you will see no shortage of videos. Every 5 seconds, somebody got a Diddy video. Every 5 seconds, the major websites are digging up old videos. The new major websites are reproducing content that is Diddy adjacent. It might be somebody that knew Diddy, somebody that was the bodyguard for Diddy's nanny's mailman chef. 3 years ago, they posted that too. People are obsessed with the coverage. Now, I'm not mad that people are obsessed with coverage. The whole point of having independent media, having different platforms, having all this access to content is that people can chase the ideas and the values and the culture and the stories that they care about. I ain't mad at that. And the Diddy story is hella interesting. If you grew up in the 90s, if you were outside in the 90s, like I was in the 90s and 2000s, then yeah, Diddy is somebody who you care about and know about, so you want to tell that story. If you are somebody who's a churchgoer, TD Jakes is a story that you care about and want to know about. And for the last 2 weeks, TD Jakes has been somebody that we've been talking about. And the reason we've been talking about them is because of allegations. I'm going to focus on Diddy because first and primarily because Diddy's the person who has a lawsuit filed against him. When Cassie filed that lawsuit against Diddy, Sean Combs, Puffy, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Love, she not only did it against him, but also against his companies, against his corporations, Revolt, Sean John, etc. And in doing so, she created a lot of pressure. She drew a lot of attention to Diddy. And what she accused him of was sexual violence. She accused him of sexual misconduct, human trafficking, all types of coercive sexual misconduct. In her very long 30 plus page, I think it was 36, 37 page lawsuit, Cassie made all sorts of allegations. And it wasn't the only person who had allegations against them, not even that week. Harvey Pierre president of Bad Boy was charged. That week, we heard other names. I could go on down the list from Axl Rose to Cuba Gooding Jr. a couple times, to Marcellus Wiley, to, there's just so many names. And in the process of addressing those issues, everybody kind of got a quick drive-by. They got their headline, they got their story, they got their gospel. People moved on. But with Diddy, they stayed. Now, part of that is because Diddy's just really, really famous. Diddy draws a lot of attention. And people have always been sort of obsessed with Diddy because of the kind of person that he is, because of the type of life that he's lived in the public eye. But there's more to it than that. Among Cassie's allegations, there were allegations that involved other men. Cassie alleged that Diddy was forcing her to hire male sex workers, and that they were engaged in all sorts of sexual activities that he would watch And people started to say, well, wait a minute. And then as more stories came out, more gossip came out. People who knew Diddy, again, Gene, one of his bodyguards, was one of the primary people who you will see on social media, who you will see all over YouTube with a story about Diddy, with an analysis of Diddy's actions, with a revelation about Diddy. And it's not just Gene, it's a couple of the bodyguards who are coming out and saying stuff. Why is this relevant? Well, because all of it seems to hover around Diddy's sexual proclivities. For the last month or so, all we keep talking about is Diddy gay? A month before that, not even a month before that, people were talking about Will Smith. One of Will Smith's former bodyguards, one of his former best friends, came out and said that Will Smith was involved in some same-sex liaisons with other people, some of his close friends, etc., etc., etc. And so all we've been talking about is the possibility that men that we thought were heterosexual might not be heterosexual in practice. That's the conversation, right? Is Diddy really gay? Again, just Google or look on YouTube. That's all you hear about. Then Christian Keys comes out, the Tyler Perry actor. He's known best for Tyler Perry stuff. And he says that a famous director and maybe a billionaire has been sexually harassing him and has sexually assaulted him before. And so people kept going around looking, who's the gay director? Is this person, is that person, is this person, is that person? And in doing that, again, we're looking for the gay director. So we're looking for the gay rapper, we're looking for the gay producer, we're looking for the gay actor. We're looking for the gay stuff. Now, Anna writes in and says, nobody cares if he's gay, it's the evil acts. Anna, I feel you. And I wish that what you were saying were actually true, but it's not. Not in the sphere that I'm operating in, not in the world that I keep getting access to. I'm talking specifically about social media. I'm talking about YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. I'm talking about all those platforms. The bulk of people talking are not talking about whether or not Diddy engaged in sex trafficking. They're not talking about whether Cassie was coerced into an unhealthy or unfair or violent sexual relationship. Nobody is talking about that. In all of these places, everybody is talking about who's gay, who's not, who's gay, who's not, who's gay, who's not. And in having these kinds of conversations, what we're doing is two things. We're reinforcing a certain kind of homophobia and a certain kind of surveillance of queer folk. And second, we're minimizing and diminishing the power and the impact and the pervasiveness of sexual violence in these spaces. And it's not the first time that we've done this. And again, I hear some of y'all people like Marlise saying, I've been focused on the sexual. I'm not saying every single person is doing that. I'm talking about how the media is covering it. I'm talking about how these spheres are talking about it. I'm not saying every single one of you is operating that way. So this isn't you ain't got to, y'all don't have to convince me that y'all have a more nuanced or sophisticated analysis. I believe you. The problem is most people aren't having those conversations, at least not the people that people are looking to for insight or advice. Again, you don't have to believe me. Go to YouTube when this is over. Don't do it now. Go to YouTube and type Diddy and see what you see. Go to Google and type Diddy and see what you see. You see fake stories, real stories, speculation, rumors, gossip. You see all kinds of stuff that is centered on the question of what are they up to? What kind of sex are they engaged in? It becomes a kind of public surveillance of their bodies and their practices instead of a critique and an analysis and an investigation into the harm that was caused, the brutality, the violence, the exploitation. That's what we should be talking about. Now, Ken J raises a really powerful and interesting point. Says, I think some sources are focusing so much on Diddy being gay so they can attribute his violent behavior with homosexuality. That's an interesting theory here, right? That if they can make Diddy's behavior seem deviant, not because of the violence, but because of its queerness, then anything that comes along with the deviant behavior then becomes attributable to the queerness ostensibly, and not to the actual root problem, which ain't got nothing to do with being gay, straight, bisexual, or anything else. It's about a culture of violence. Let me back up. In the 90s, Wendy Williams was all over the radio. Wendy Williams was the hottest radio host, radio jock in the country. We loved to listen to Wendy Williams gossip, right? That was it. And she said once, and I wrote an article on this called Homo Thugging It. And she started talking about the gay rapper. She started talking about the gay rapper. And she said that there's a gay rapper. Now, this was a time when people weren't out. There weren't a bunch of gay athletes. There weren't a bunch of gay, shit. All them 90s R&B artists that were gay, it wasn't none of them out yet. So the idea that there was a gay rapper was just messing people's heads up. It was blowing people's minds. Oh my God, there's a gay rapper. Who's the gay rapper? And so every day, every week, people were focused on the question of whether or not there was a gay rapper and who the gay rapper was. The question itself presumed that there was a single gay interloper among an otherwise heterosexual community, that there was just one gay rapper. Like I'm gonna tell you something. There's a good chance a whole lot of your favorite rappers are gay, or actors, or singers, or preachers, or whatever. Right? That's just how the world is. I'm not making any bombshells here. I'm just saying that's just a fact. Not to mention the fact that hip hop is constituted through queer labor, whether it's set designers, whether it's choreographers, whether it's makeup, whether it's we could go on down the list, right? And yet still we're pretending that hip hop has just one gay person. So everybody kept trying to figure out who the gay rapper was. And yes, Wendy was in Philly. Before she was in Philly, though, she was in New York on Hot 97. And she was ultimately fired by Hot 97, pressured because of some of the information and revelations she had made about certain people who will remain nameless, because y'all not suing me. So from that moment forward, even in the culture, we keep talking about this stuff in isolated terms. But people were outraged. They said, I want to know who the gay rapper is. Just like in sports, I need to know who the gay football players. I need to know who the gay basketball players. I remember I interviewed Phil Jackson one time, and he told me that there were no gay players in the NBA. And then when John Amici came, I was like, oh, well, John was the gay player, but there are no more. As if, right, like, this is one gay football player, just one gay basketball player or baseball player. Whatever. No, of course not, right? They're everywhere, just like they are throughout society. But the point is, we don't want to believe that. And so we obsess about it so that we can deal with it. And so finding the gay rapper was important. Holding Dr. Dre accountable for slapping D. Barnes was not important as a culture. We didn't have summits and special blind items in newspapers and magazine articles and all that stuff to find out how to support D. Barnes. We didn't have a summit to figure out how to stop sexual violence. I mean, this is exactly what I mean. Black Love wrote it and says, shouldn't you as an educator have more important issues to discuss? What is more important to discuss than sexual violence, than intimate partner violence and domestic violence? That's what I'm talking about. Black girls are sex trafficked more than any other population. Why shouldn't we be talking about that, Black Love? You don't see any irony in being named Black Love as you sit here and tell me that there's more important things to discuss than how we're being harmed and how we as a community can do a better job of keeping track of it? Come on now, Black Love. I think you can do better than that too. Shout out, by the way, to Sabrina Lee for joining the channel. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for becoming an MLH community member. You don't know how much that means to us. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Sabrina. And so, just like in the broader society, this isn't a hip hop problem. This isn't a Black church problem. This isn't a Hollywood problem. This is an American problem. is that while we obsess about sex and sexuality, we aren't obsessed about sexual violence. So in the 90s, it was the gay rapper. And then it became, well, there's some gay Hollywood people, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this. And we just act like it doesn't exist. Or we whisper about it, but we don't talk about the culture behind it. That's part of what the Me Too movement was. It was an opportunity to have a reckoning. It wasn't to go around catching men who did bad things. That's why we resent the language if you got Me Too'd, as if Me Too is something that's happening to you, as if you were being wronged by being held accountable. But instead, it's to say, what does it mean, not just for sexual harassment and sexual assault to happen, but for there to be a normalized culture around it. You see, when Cassie makes the allegations against Diddy, that was an opportunity to not talk about who Diddy sleeps with, but to ask the question, what does it mean for him or Harvey Pierre, who was also accused, to be part of a broader culture where people are getting groomed in Hollywood? We've long heard about in the entertainment industry, we've long heard about the Hollywood casting couch. What does it mean for people to have to go through a sexual rite of passage in order to have a chance in the film industry or the TV industry? You see, having a freak off party or whatever, where they engage in shit y'all might think is freaky or nasty, that's their business. But once you have to do it to get a job, or once you have to do it to keep a job, that's where it becomes a problem. And that's the part that we're not focused on. All these manosphere blogs, all of these incel blogs, they're not running around talking about how black men, because these ones are concerned with black men, how black men could be better partners, or how black men could not engage in sexual violence, or how we could resist the culture of grooming, how we could not replicate the patriarchal, misogynistic violence of white men, i.e. we shouldn't want to be like Harvey Weinstein. We're not talking about that. They're talking about how black masculinity is being compromised, how Jonathan Majors is being emasculated, how Will Smith is being misrepresented. The problem here is not people's sexual desires, who people want to kiss. The problem is who people want to sleep with. The problem is the culture that creates relationships that are unequal and imbalanced and exploitative and extractive. That's the part we got to deal with, and that's the part we refuse to be having a conversation about. So when TD Jakes comes out last week in the media, his name, not him, and people say, well, TD Jakes is tied to Diddy, and TD Jakes is getting down with some of the same stuff Diddy's been accused of, and you go, oh my God, TD Jakes. Again, I'm not saying we should chase the rumors about TD Jakes. I don't know if they're true or not. But what I do know is, if you're going to pursue those rumors, the rumors shouldn't be about TD Jakes' sexual desire. It should be about how institutions, churches, synagogues, mosques, nonprofits, activist organizations become spaces where people are exploited. Or what does it mean for our moral leadership, for there to be a gap between what people say they do and what they're actually doing? These are conversations we could legitimately have, but instead it becomes, uh-oh, who's he sleeping with? Uh-oh, what sex positions does he like? Etc. To me, the conversation it's more important, and this is why I posted an interview, and I hope y'all check this interview out. I posted an interview that I did with TD Jakes. I posted it like maybe 2 weeks ago, where TD Jakes was talking about his belief that homosexuality, queer identity, whatever you want to call it, but he called it homosexuality, is a sin, and that it's counter to the principles of the Bible. And so for me, the questions again become, well, if I were obsessed with TD Jakes' sexuality, and I'm not, I don't give a damn who TD Jakes sleeps with. The question for me would be, what's the gap between what he says is his biblical philosophy, and what he's being accused of, if you're going to chase these rumors. I'm not saying chase the rumors. Again, the TD Jakes story is so whack, so unsubstantiated, so journalistically impoverished. I don't think we should be pursuing that. The Diddy stuff, however, is not gossip. It's a lawsuit. And my point is, we're not talking about TD Jakes in the right way. We're not talking about how the Black church could be more expansive, how the Black church could be more inclusive, how the Black church could be more loving, how the Black church could have an ethic of love agape love, New Testament love, Jesus-centered love that would no longer exploit the labor of queer folks, the queer choir director, the queer organist, the queer deacon, and sometimes the queer pastor, while also from the pulpit engaging in hermeneutical and homiletical violence. That's the conversation we should be having. If you're going to have a conversation about Diddy, ask the question: how does a Diddy Cassie relationship begin? How does it end? And what are the spots that get us there in terms of power dynamics, exploitation, but allegations of sex trafficking, all these things? Again, I'm not saying that Diddy is legally guilty of anything. These are the allegations that were made against him, but we're not talking about that. All we care about is whose body parts are touching whose body parts, who's kissing who. This is the challenge. Cassie was saying that she was in a relationship that she literally could not leave, that she could not escape. That should be the conversation. But when you turn on YouTube, we're not having it. So what does this all mean? It means that it's time to have the correct conversations. Again, everybody loves gossip. Most people love gossip, even if they don't admit it. Most people love to know people's business on the low. But if we're going to sound the alarm, if we're going to signal that there's a problem, that there's a moral panic, the moral and ethical panic should not anyway be about who's sleeping with who. I can't say that again. It should be about how we can dismantle rape culture, how we can tear down systems in Hollywood and then on Broadway and in all these places that are predatory. That's right, Nubian goddess, that are predatory. We should be talking about how Black churches and other religious institutions, not just Black ones, because the Catholic Church is wildly predatory. We've seen, and there's all kinds of sexual dysfunction and misconduct happening. How can we dismantle those relationships and those systems? How can we stop reproducing that pathology and that inequality and that injustice? Those are the questions we should be asking. We should be asking, why do people feel like they have to have sex with executives in hip hop or elsewhere in order to succeed or to get a fair shot? Why? Why do we feel that way? Why do we feel that way? This is the conversation we should be having. Diddy's going to have an opportunity in court to have whatever conversation he deserves or needs to have. Diddy is going to have every opportunity to use his platform to have his voice amplified so that he can tell his story, his truth in his way. TD Jakes will too. I'm not worried about them. I want them to get justice, just as I want the people who, whatever that looks like, just like I want the people who have made their allegations to get justice. Cassie deserves justice. The other three people who made accusations against Diddy deserve justice. It's not for me to decide what justice looks like because I don't know the details. I don't know who's right, who's wrong, who's telling the truth, who's not. But justice deserves to be had. But the conversation we're having around these issues is making it difficult for us to grow. So that in 5 and 10 years, we're going to have new executives, but the same systems. We're going to have new rules and regulations because the culture will shift, the industry will shift, but we're going to have the same rape culture. We're going to have new stewards of these institutions, but the roots of these institutions will remain unchanged if we're not careful. And we have to find ways to dismantle all of it. Now that said, I'm gonna leave y'all alone in a minute because we're going into the new year, but we got to go into the new year, right, y'all? Is there anyone who has a question? I'm gonna take a second for about 3-4 questions before I get up out of here. I got stuff to do. I got a baby to put to bed so that I could hopefully have a few hours before the new year for myself and the fam to chill. I'm hoping y'all will go into the new year also with good energy. By the way, y'all, if you haven't checked out the podcast, again, The Classroom and the Cell, Marc Lamont Hill, Mumia Abu-Jamal. I'm proud of what we've done so far. We got 6 episodes in the can, a 7th one that we just recorded yesterday that should be up tomorrow for the new year. Mumia Abu-Jamal, Marc Lamont Hill, The Classroom and the Cell. Make sure you check it out. Mumia is doing life in prison after being taken off of death row for a crime that he did not commit. He remains a political prisoner who's been caged for 40 plus years. And so I pray, sincerely, I pray that you all check out the podcast to hear Mumia's voice. You can hear me all the time, but I want you to hear Mumia's voice and his critiques and his analysis. So please check out the Classroom in the Cell podcast right here on Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. For those of you who have not subscribed, y'all hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Because if you hit that subscribe button, it lets you know when we're doing new content. Hit that notification bell so you can get the latest updates of when we're putting content out. And if you're so inclined, hit the join button. If y'all can join the channel, become members of the channel, it allows us to expand what we do. It allows us to create more opportunity, more platforms, more microphones, and better resources to really amplify the critical, intellectual, and political and cultural work that this channel is trying to do. So I hope y'all could do that. Kushla Thorne came in with a question. Say, if you have one book recommendation for 2024, what would it be? Man, it's hard. That's a great question. It's hard to offer a single recommendation for a book because everybody's in a different place. There are people, for example, who are trying to understand Palestine, and I would say, yo, grab the 100 Years War on Palestine. And that would help. K-Ball Musings, real fast. You said, is there a way to become a member via phone? Don't see join button. There is a way to link on the join button on that thing, but also I believe on the app there's a cash button. The same way you would make a super chat or a super thanks. If you hit that button, join will come up. You can also do a membership there. If not, can somebody drop in the chat a link to show people how to join? Help us out here. If you're Palestine, I might say 100 Years of Palestine. If you're trying to read a book for self-improvement, I might tell you to read The 4 Agreements. If you're trying to read a novel that just changed my life, I'd say read The Color Purple before you go see the movie, or read Toni Morrison's Beloved, or read The Beautiful Ones Have Not Yet Been Born, or read 2000 Seasons. Yeah, read 2000 Seasons. Woo! That's a beautiful one. I would tell you, if you want to read a great autobiography, read the autobiography that changed my life, the autobiography of Malcolm X, or read Asada. You know, if you want to read something that crossed the intersection of religion and faith and policy and politics, I would say read The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. You know, there's so many beautiful and powerful texts to read. You know, if you're trying to reimagine global struggle, read oh my God, what does it mean? There's a million books you can read, but I'm just gonna give you one. Adon Katachu's what's it called? After Empire. What is it called? Something After Empire. World Making After Empire. World Making After Empire. Yo, I wanna send a shout out to K-Ball Musings for the donation. Thank you so much. It means so much when people donate to the channel. And as we go to the end of the year, these final donations are going to go a long way toward helping us build. Dr. Cynthia Scurry Brooklyn said to read Hebrews to Negroes by Ronald Dalton. I have not read that book. I have seen the film. And I know the brother's actually reached out to me recently because he wants to have a debate. And I'm not interested in debating the brother, but I try not to do too many public debates, but I would love to have a public conversation with the brother. I'd love to learn more about his position. I'd love to challenge him and push back on some of his ideas, and I'd like to hear him challenge me and push back on some of my ideas. I look forward to talking to Ronald Dalton Jr. Whenever he'd like to. I think that would be super, super dope. So I'm down to make that happen. That's a great one. Lola, one of our beloved members, said, "Did you see my question?" Lola, I didn't see your question. Tell me what the question was. Rewrite it for me, Lola, and I promise you I'll answer before I go. I promise you I will. I just didn't see it. I'm trying to find it now. Oh, I see. Never mind. How do we stop the predatory behavior? It happens everywhere. Corporate entertainment, people are afraid to tell because you live your life. So there's a few things. I think one, we need more people in positions of power to speak up. That's the first thing, right? When the corporate CEO, when the dean of a fraternity or a college for that matter, when the most powerful actor or actress or rapper speaks up, it makes a hell of a difference, right? We need to fight for laws that create safety for people. That's part of what these extensions on statutes of limitations are allowing for in California and previously in New York up until about a month ago. So I think we need a legal thing, but we also need political education. We need to highlight to people what predatory means, because I talked to too many actors and actresses. I talked to too many rappers and people in other industries who just matter of factly say that, yeah, well, you're gonna have to suck some this or give some of that in order to make it. And we just accept that that's just a rite of passage in the business. We have to stop that. We have to stop normalizing predation. We got a lot of work to do, y'all. We got a lot of work to do. We also need people to speak out in volume and numbers. It's just like I talk about with Israel Palestine, right? Is that if one person speaks out and they get fired, or if one person speaks out and they get canceled because they struggle for reparations, or one person speaks out for Black people's right to vote in the middle of the 20th century or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's difficult, but if everybody speaks up, they can't fire all of us. They can't cancel all of us. They can't chastise all of us. So that's why we do the work that we do. And ultimately, it's going to come from political education. And we have to change society. We have to change the culture. We have to educate folk on what these new ways of seeing are. Because as we shift what counts as normal, as we shift what counts as reasonable and respectable and honorable, then we can have different conversations. Yo, Jennifer Serenity just joined the channel. I'm so grateful, y'all. Anybody else out there that wants to join the channel, please join the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. It's going to allow us, again, to grow and to expand with regular support. So please, I'll be so grateful if you did. I think we got time for one more question, then I am out. I see the trolls are going hard in the comments, man. I ain't worried about that. We too busy out here working. We too busy out here grinding. We too out here busy doing the stuff we supposed to do. So I can't worry about the trolls, yo. But I'm grateful for all the love and support. Y'all got some questions here. I meant questions on topic. If anybody wants to donate, again, if you're on the phone, look at the button that says it should be a little picture of $1 on like an enter button, and it basically allows you to choose super chat, super thanks, or even join. But if you can't find it, that's okay too. There we go. Menace, you found it. The person who said they couldn't find it found it. Menace, Abu Shakir, shukran jazilan, habibi. I appreciate the donation. I appreciate the love. You have no idea how much it means, y'all. I love this. When did you sell out, Mark? See, that's the thing, man. This idea that speaking up for gender justice, speaking up to challenge homophobia and rape culture and transphobia and all these things is somehow selling out. Who am I selling out and who am I selling out to? The truth is, these are just principal positions that I take. And you may disagree with my position. I respect that. I truly do respect that. But don't presume that my disagreement is bound up in the fact that I'm doing. I mean, there's an arrogance to that, right? That like anybody who disagrees with me must be selling out. That I'm so right and so brilliant and so perfect that anybody who disagrees with me must be on the tape. Because the only way to not agree with me must be if you're if you're a sellout, right? You must be part of some secret organization if you don't believe me. Because God forbid somebody sees the world differently than I do. That's wild to me. this dude is a homosexual. I'm actually not a homosexual. However, not that it should matter, but this is part of the point too, is that straight people have to actually speak up against and out against uh, homophobia and transphobia. We have to speak out and show love and solidarity in the same way that I speak out and show love and solidarity with Palestinians, even though I'm not Palestinian. The same way I speak out against, I speak for women's reproductive rights, even though I don't plan on having a baby, or birthing a baby, right? So this is the way we have to have these conversations. We have to have conversations that are bigger than just our own interests, our own needs, our own direct benefit. We can't think like that, y'all. Angel joined the channel. Angel, salute to Angel. And also Dr. Cynthia Scurry Brooklyn, thank you for being a member. Thank you for showing love and your consistency, for showing up for the lives in the chat. You don't know how much that means as well. Lola Khan, the same thing to you. You're appreciated. You're loved. I'm so grateful. Same thing to you, Joyce Gonzalez. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. So many great people in this chat, so many great people in this community. I want to thank all of y'all for supporting me as we got this channel launched at the end of the year. We're going to continue to build it and we'll continue to grow it. So just thank you all for being parts of it. Todd Williams, I love you. Thank you, my brother, for joining the channel. Thank you for being a part of what we're doing here. Again, you have no idea how much it means to have people who are consistently joining the channel and being part of what we do. It means so much to me. All right, my family. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And I'll see y'all in the new year. So be good, be safe. Check out all the information on the channel. I got some videos about Diddy if you care about us, videos about T.D. Jakes if you care about us, videos about Will Smith if you care about it. I got videos about all that stuff, but I also got videos about what's going on in the Congo. We got videos about why Black men are dying more giving birth. We got videos about myths about Israel, Palestine. We got videos that are about the right-wing movement to silence folk. There's all kinds of stuff. And of course, there is 6 episodes loaded right now of The Classroom in the Cell, my podcast with me at Abu Jamal, which you can see just by hitting the podcast button there. So family, thank you again. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you can, hit the join button and become a full member of the Marc Lamont Hill channel. Until next year, family, I will see you later. I love you. Peace.